Miguel Santos still remembered the sound of the sea waking him every morning in Cebu City, the gentle crash of waves mixing with the distant hum of jeepneys starting their routes. He grew up in a small coastal neighborhood where houses stood close together, patched with tin roofs and hope. His mother sold puso rice to commuters, and his father had passed away when Miguel was only 12, leaving behind silence and responsibility. Music entered his life quietly, through an old radio that crackled with love songs and ballads late at night. Miguel would hum along while cleaning tables at the eatery where he worked after school, imagining a life beyond the narrow streets he walked every day. Just a few houses away lived Jasper Rivera, his best friend since childhood. Jasper's world revolved around the sea as well, but in a different way. Every dawn, he helped his father pull fishing nets from the water, his hands rough from rope and salt. Jasper didn't talk much about his dreams, but when he sang, everything poured out. His voice carried emotion shaped by struggle, responsibility, and quiet resilience. Neighbors often stopped what they were doing when they heard him sing during fiestas or late evenings, his voice echoing between houses like a secret meant to be shared. Miguel and Jasper found each other through music long before they ever thought of stages or judges. As boys, they sang together at school programs, birthdays, and community gatherings, sometimes without microphones, sometimes without applause. They practiced harmonies under flickering streetlights, using borrowed guitars with missing strings. When life felt heavy, singing together made it lighter. Their voices were different, Miguel's warm and steady, Jasper's emotional and raw, but together, they formed something that felt complete. Years passed, and reality pressed in. Dreams were often postponed in Cebu City when bills came first. Miguel worked longer hours. Jasper skipped rehearsals to help his family. There were moments they thought music would remain just a memory, something beautiful but distant. Then one evening, while scrolling on a cracked phone, Miguel saw an audition clip from America's Got Talent. He showed it to Jasper without saying much. They just looked at each other, and for the first time in years, hope sparked again. Applying felt impossible. Traveling to America felt even more unreal. But the community that once watched them grow rallied behind them. Neighbors donated small amounts. Friends shared videos of their street performances online. A local cafe let them sing for tips. Slowly, piece by piece, the impossible became possible. The day they left Cebu City, their families cried at the airport, proud and terrified at the same time. Los Angeles was overwhelming. The buildings were taller, the air different, the silence backstage heavier than any crowd they had faced before. Miguel's hands shook as he adjusted the simple outfit he wore, the same style he would wear back home. Jasper closed his eyes and whispered a prayer in Filipino, asking for courage. They could hear other contestants warming up, some confident, some nervous, all chasing the same dream. When they stepped onto the AGT stage, the lights were blinding. The audience was massive, stretching farther than they could see. Then they noticed the judges' table, and Simon Cowell sitting there, expression unreadable. Miguel felt his chest tighten. This was the man whose opinion could change everything. For a brief moment, doubt crept in. Were two boys from Cebu City really meant to be here? They looked at each other, just as they had done countless times under streetlights back home. That look said everything, this is ours, no matter what happens. The music cue hadn't even started yet, but the silence felt alive. Miguel took a deep breath. Jasper steadied his voice. In that moment, they weren't thinking about fame or buzzers or television. They were thinking about their families, their neighborhood, the long nights singing just to survive. And as the first note approached, they were ready to give everything they had. The first note left Miguel's lips softly, almost trembling, yet pure enough to cut through the massive AGT theater. The sound traveled farther than he expected, filling the silence that moments earlier had felt so heavy. Jasper joined in seconds later, his voice sliding perfectly into harmony, deeper and full of emotion shaped by years of struggle. Together, Their voices blended into something warm and haunting, the kind that made people stop breathing without realizing it. The audience leaned forward instinctively, sensing that this was not an ordinary audition. Miguel focused on the rhythm, grounding himself the way he used to back home in Cebu City when nerves threatened to take over. He remembered singing beside busy roads, competing with traffic noise and laughter. Compared to that, this stage felt unreal. Jasper closed his eyes as he sang, letting every word carry the weight of early mornings at sea, the smell of salt, and the responsibility he carried for his family. Each lyric felt honest, almost fragile, as if breaking the wrong way could shatter it. At the judges' table, Simon Cowell sat back at first, arms crossed, face unreadable. He had seen thousands of singers, many with big stories and louder voices. But as the duo reached the first chorus, something shifted. Simon leaned forward slightly. His eyes narrowed, not in criticism, but in focus. There was no over-singing, no tricks, just two voices telling a story. The kind of story that didn't need explanation. The second verse grew stronger. Miguel's confidence built with each line, his voice steady and reassuring, while Jasper's carried raw emotion that pulled at the heart. Their harmonies tightened, perfectly balanced, sounding as if they had been singing together their entire lives, which, in many ways, they had. The audience began reacting before realizing it. Some nodded. Others covered their mouths. A few wiped away tears, already moved by the sincerity coming from the stage. As the song built toward its peak, Jasper opened his eyes and looked straight ahead, no longer afraid of the lights or the judges. Miguel felt the same shift. This wasn't about fear anymore. This was about honoring where they came from. The final chorus rose higher, fuller, filling the theater with sound that felt both powerful and gentle. It carried echoes of Cebu City streets, of small homes, of dreams whispered late at night. Simon's expression changed completely. His jaw tightened, then relaxed. He glanced briefly at the other judges, as if checking whether they felt it too. They did. One leaned back in disbelief. Another shook their head slowly, smiling. The crowd was holding on to every note, afraid to break the moment. When the final harmony rang out, it didn't end sharply. It faded, lingering in the air like a memory refusing to disappear. For a heartbeat, there was silence, pure, stunned silence. Then the theater exploded. Cheers erupted from every corner, loud and uncontrollable. People jumped to their feet. Miguel felt his knees weaken. Jasper's eyes filled with tears as the reality of the moment hit them both. Simon stood up. That alone sent the crowd into another wave of noise. He didn't smile right away. He looked at the duo with seriousness, respect, and something close to awe. Then, without dragging the moment out, he turned and reached for the button. When his hand slammed down on the golden buzzer, the sound cut through the chaos like thunder. Golden confetti rained from above, covering the stage in shimmering light. Miguel dropped to his knees, hands over his face, overwhelmed. Jasper fell beside him, crying openly, unable to believe what was happening. The crowd screamed even louder, chanting and clapping as if witnessing history. From the streets of Cebu City to this moment of gold, their voices had carried them farther than they ever dreamed. And as the confetti fell, one truth became clear: their lives had just changed forever. As the golden confetti continued to fall, Miguel and Jasper struggled to stand, their legs shaking beneath them. The sound of the crowd was overwhelming, a powerful wave of cheers, applause, and chants that seemed to shake the very walls of the theater. Miguel looked out at the audience, his vision blurred by tears, and for a moment he felt as though he was dreaming. Just minutes ago, they were two boys from Cebu City hoping to be heard. Now, the world was listening. Simon Cowell raised his hand, signaling for quiet, though a smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. When the noise finally softened, he spoke with a tone rarely heard from him, calm, sincere, and filled with respect. He told them that what they had just done was more than singing. He said it was honest, emotional, and completely real. Simon explained that he didn't press the golden buzzer because of a sad story or sympathy, but because their voices together created something special that couldn't be taught. He praised their connection, saying it felt natural, effortless, and powerful in a way that only true partnerships achieve. The other judges nodded in agreement, adding that their harmony felt like one voice with two hearts. One judge mentioned how rare it was to see performers so grounded despite standing on such a massive stage. Another spoke about how their performance made the entire room feel united, reminding everyone why music matters. Miguel and Jasper listened in disbelief, hands still trembling, trying to absorb every word. When asked how they felt, Jasper struggled to speak. His voice cracked as he said they were singing for their families, their community, and everyone back home in the Philippines who believed in them. Miguel added that this moment belonged not just to them, but to Cebu City, to the streets where they learned to dream, and to people who never stop hoping despite hardship. The camera cut to the audience, where many were wiping away tears. Viewers around the world were already sharing the moment online, calling it unforgettable. Back in Cebu City, neighbors would soon gather around phones and televisions, cheering with pride. As Miguel and Jasper left the stage, still covered in gold, they held onto each other tightly. They knew the competition wasn't over, but something had already changed. Their journey had proven that dreams born in small places can reach the biggest stages. And in that moment, under the fading glitter of the golden buzzer, they carried not just their own hopes forward, but the hopes of an entire nation.